Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Raw is Jericho! Hell yeah! Get some love!
And that's what we told Sal. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for night 2 of our predictions. Hold on, it's not official until the banner is up. There we go. Welcome to our WrestleMania Night 2 prediction show. I'm Matt. This is Nick. There he is, right there. Boop, 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 boop. Let's do it. We're just going to get right into it. We appreciate you catching our Night 1 prediction show. And if you missed it, hit the pause button, go back and watch it, and then watch this one. But
real quick, before we start, I got to crack one open.
And this may not be the only time you're seeing the name Steve Austin for WrestleMania. Boom. Woo! But before we get to that, let's kick right into it. Here's our predictions for night 2. And the first match that I'm going to go over is Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus Final Testament in a Philly street fight. So Final Testament is Karrion, Kross, and AOP. And anytime that Karrion Kross is around, you know we're going to see Scarlett. So everyone's a winner right there. But for this match, I'm going to say that it's going to be Final Testament. And I think something's going to happen between Lashley and the Street Profits because it's just not clicking. It's like I don't know what's happening, like what's going on. It's not there. Montez Ford, to me, is a singles superstar, and he has world title written all over him. Are you agreeing with me? Are you?
You stole my whole thing, Gavin. You stole my move. Fuck. Damn it. The whole time I'm like, Street Profits are losing and Ford's leaving to finally go on the road that he was destined to be on. He's one of those guys like we talked about last episode. He's like Jey Uso, who should be in an Intercontinental Championship kind of conversation.
Right. I agree.
He should be going for a singles belt. He should be on the road that Shawn Michaels was in when he threw that has-been Marty Jannetty through that fucking window. That should be Montez Ford right now. Literally almost the exact same fucking trajectory minus the drugs and alcohol abuse that Shawn Michaels was on. Tag team, too charismatic for his partner.
Yeah.
Intercontinental, huge feud. Maybe fucking Jey Uso wins the Intercontinental belt, and we see Montez Ford versus Jey Uso Intercontinental Championship. Long story. Razor a la Razor Shawn.
I like that.
Razor Shawn, right? Razor Shawn.
Razor.
All right? Like that.
John.
Razor Shawn. All right? And we do that.
But
does that sound like a bad book to you?
No, not at all. Not at all. But just
so like, let's fucking do that. Let's have Jay go after the Intercontinental. Gunther drop the belt to Jay. Gunther moves on heavyweight, right? Because that's what the natural progression is.
Right.
And then have Jay carry the belt 8 months, 9 months, a year, whatever. And Montez Ford now goes after the Intercontinental. Though technically, I will say right now, I don't see Jay ahead of Montez Ford as far as a skill set is concerned. It's just that he's an NOI, so he's going to get a push before Montez Ford does. If Montez Ford's last name was Johnson and he could prove that he was related to Rocky Johnson, he might get a push. But Other than that, only the NOIs get unnecessary pushes, like to stardom for no reason. I'll give you an example. A guy named Dwayne Johnson, who's quote unquote an NOI, but not really. He got an Intercontinental Championship belt within like 6 months of joining the WWE. He couldn't even really fucking wrestle all that good. So anything is possible. But I agree with you. I think Final Testament wins, Street Profits lose, and Ford finally breaks free of that weight dragging him down.
You mentioned
a la the Rockers, a la APA when JBL got his push.
Right.
We've seen this before. A la Edge and Christian when Edge got his push. We've seen
right.
A la the fucking Hart Foundation when Brett got his push. We see this a lot. A la Billy Gunn when he got his push.
Right. Yeah.
We see it all the time.
There you go. We're on the same page with that. And just so you know, Shawn Michaels didn't throw Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window. Marty Jannetty was trying to escape. He was trying to run from Shawn. A match that is almost just as personal is LA Knight, versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. This doesn't scream WrestleMania to me.
It's missing a story, man. They're both too talented to have no story. The story's weak. The story's weak.
Yeah.
It's not memorable. It's not really being talked about on social media. It's a match.
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah. That was like
this is Brock beating Stone Cold in the first round of King of the Ring.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense that they're matching up, that it means anything.
Yeah, it's, like there was that cool segment when LA Knight went to AJ's house because like AJ was avoiding him. But
listen, I promise you, nobody going to anybody's house means anything anymore since Brian Pillman.
Right? Yeah.
That was the last time anything involving somebody going to somebody's house meant anything in wrestling.
Yeah. Even when Triple H did it to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 25, it like, okay, you threw him through a window. It wasn't his house. Clearly it was a staged house, but like
not even, I'll tell you right now, it doesn't even matter if it's actually his house. Until you pull a gun out on somebody and shoot them, they went to the mountain already. They went to Everest, and now they're climbing Kilimanjaro at this point, and it's like, who gives a shit, bro? Everest is where it's at.
I mean,
I think
LA.
I think he gets a W because he needs to push more than AJ does, and I love AJ. I don't follow TNA, but I just saw some video footage about the match between Jeff Hardy and Sting that never was. Basically, it was and I saw backstage footage of AJ Styles basically telling Jeff Hardy, "Don't fucking talk to me ever again."
Right.
So I have the utmost respect for AJ. I know I'm years late. I know, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm years late, but I'm not a TNA follower. I was when I was in my 20s, but now in my 30s, it's just like, and I get it. That probably happened 8 years ago.
Maybe more.
I was doing different things. The last time I watched TNA, Jeff Hardy wasn't working there. Matt Morgan was working at TNA the last time I watched TNA.
Wow, Matt Morgan.
By the way, I loved Matt Morgan. It's a real shame that he didn't work out. The Blueprint. The last time I watched TNA, Voodoo Kin Mafia just started working there.
Wow, 2011 at
so that's I was
Victory Road.
I was 2011. I was already 24, something like that, 25. Yeah, I was 24. I was fighting in the army already. I wasn't worried about fucking wrestling.
Yeah, you were
at least
Jeff Hardy's.
At least not indie wrestling. At that point, TNA had become indie. Like I don't think it was on TV at that point.
Damn it.
2011, because it was on Spike, but when Spike went under, it went away.
Yeah, I think this may have been on TV because I think Bischoff and Hogan were there. When Bischoff and Hogan were there, they tried to reignite the Monday Night Raw.
So when Hogan left the first time, I stopped watching. He put the band back together. Yeah, I was like,
I didn't really. Yeah, I watched TNA when it was like weekly pay-per-views. Me and Steve would either rent it or we would go to Saturday matinee in the mall. And the back section would be the wrestling section. And like the TNA DVDs were always on sale.
Back when they had an octagon or a hexagon?
Yeah, the six-sided ring. I had so many TNA DVDs. I ended up like selling them on eBay for nothing.
When I was watching TNA, it was like Kazarian, fucking Young.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Eric Young is the one that thought he was fucking Scott Steiner, right? I'm not crazy, am I?
No, Petey Williams.
Petey Williams. I'm sorry. It was Petey Williams thinking he was Little Papa Pump.
Yes.
I love Petey Williams, by the way, because he used to do the Canadian Destroyer, and it was an amazing move, I thought.
And now Bad Bunny does the Canadian Destroyer, so absolutely nothing.
And I was watching it then. They had Voodoo Kin Mafia was there for a little bit. I was watching it at that time because I love New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
But an Angle, of course, and Relic. And I actually do like Relic.
Perk Angle.
Yeah, I do. I really did like Relic because I like Johnny Stamboli. I thought he had a good physique.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he had a good physique for wrestling. You know, I'm like, listen, I get it. I shouldn't say his name, but you know, I'm like, wow, I hit the wrong button. I'm like in that manner where, you know, like physique matters to me. If you look like fucking Sami Zayn, I don't think you should be wrestling.
I'm gonna try to say his name.
LA Knight wins this match, and LA Knight wins this match because he needs to push more than AJ does. This match literally means nothing to AJ.
Right. You know, and AJ's part-time now. He's like part-time without being part-time, and you know,
AJ has moved into a Miz role.
Yeah.
Where he's a senior guy, but it doesn't seem like he's in a championship belt conversation simply because Roman just takes up a belt and that belt goes nowhere. It does nothing. And what is he doing? Like, he can't go back down to the like we talked about in the last episode. AJ can't go back down to an Intercontinental or a U.S. title.
He did though. He did after he was world champion.
It doesn't fly. You can't do it.
You know what? It's funny you say that.
Name a guy that won the heavyweight championship and then was like, nah, I'm cool with being the Intercontinental Championship now. Like, that doesn't happen.
It happened. You know what? It doesn't happen often. And when it happened, the first time I really remember it was in 2001, right after WrestleMania, when Triple H beat Jeff Hardy for the IC title. This was when he was with Austin and Vince as the two-man power trip. And just to see Triple H after being like a 4-time champion, after all those hellacious matches with Mankind, with Austin, with The Rock, and then The Rock is gone at this point. The Rock's filming Scorpion King, and Triple H is the IC champion? To me, it was very, very weird to see that.
That's when it's a prop again.
Yeah. Right. That's what it's a prop, because they wanted to put all the titles on them. It didn't make sense, but I get it. But it just didn't.
They didn't have a mid-tier guy, and they were just like, fuck it, he's going to get a belt.
Right. It wasn't like Evolution when Triple H was the world champ and Orton was the IC champ.
That makes sense.
Right. But you have an established guy already. And Triple H, he's the IC champion. Like, to me, I'm like, I don't get that.
And now you can't. They introduced AJ at too high of a level, and now they can't go back.
Right. But you know what's funny, too, about saying that with our next match, being that we're both picking LA Knight, it's the U.S. title, and you have Randy Orton, who's a 14-time world champion, and Kevin Owens, who held the Universal title. He's a world champion. Not as memorable, but he's still a world champion.
Kevin Owens being a champion in general was a mistake. Fat James Corden does not. Canadian James Corden being heavyweight, like being a world champion, is ridiculous.
See, like, I'm really mad at you saying that. Not because I like Kevin Owens, because it's like kind of spot on. That when you close your eyes and think about it, he fucking does look like him. And like, I'm not mad, but like KO is
now you
more.
can't unsee it.
Yeah, you got to show it. You got to pull it up.
Oh, I gotta find them like side by side. Like I don't know if I have them side by side. I don't think I have them side by side. If I can get them side by side, that would be magical.
That would be.
I thought it was them side by side. It was just James Corden next to James Corden.
You can't tell the difference.
It
was with this match, triple threat, Orton, Owens, Logan Paul for the U.S. title. I feel like they got all they wanted out of Logan Paul being U.S. champion, and it's not needed right now. There we go. Pull it up.
That's James Corden. Oh, excuse me. That's Kevin Owens.
Are you sure?
It's hard, bro. It's hard. That's James Corden. That's Kevin. Wait, oh, that's a bad picture. That's Kevin Owens. That's James Corden. Or better yet, that's James Corden. That's Kevin Owens. That's James. That's the same guy. One's British, one's Canadian. What's worse is he's French Canadian. The worst kind of Canadian.
It's like that Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other. Huh. Or it's Pam from The Office, and where she's like, they're the exact same photo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thing.
Kevin Owens and James Corden. And I hate James Corden, so.
Yeah, me too.
Not Kevin Owens.
I think that Logan Paul is going to lose the title, but it's going to be Randy Orton pinning Kevin Owens. I don't know why. Because I at least feel like if Orton's the champ, I don't see him doing open challenges. It's not really his gimmick. But I think you could get a lot out of Orton being there every week as U.S. champ rather than Logan Paul. Especially if Roman retains the title. You can't have Roman retain the title, him not be on the show, and then Logan Paul be a celebrity who's not always on the show. You need some sort of championship representative there.
I think Logan Paul wins because it's scripted. That's the only way his family could win anything. I think he needs the push, man. I think he needs the push. I don't find him to be credible as a wrestler to the point that he needs that he can just show up once every so often with a belt and it mean anything. He needs the push to validate him as a sports entertainer outside of just being the gimmick that he's a YouTube personality. Because right now he's David Arquette. He's athletic David Arquette. If David Arquette had any athleticism whatsoever, him carrying the heavyweight championship belt would have been interesting. Right now, Logan Paul's Pat McAfee. And I love Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee gave me $500 for my wedding. I love Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
all right. Did. I love Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's my favorite celebrity of all time right now because no other celebrity ever gave me money. Pat McAfee gave me 500 bones. So I love Pat McAfee all time. He can say whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. Like, I don't care. You can slap my dad for all I give a shit. Just don't make fun of the chaps. Just don't mock the chaps, okay?
Right.
But I think Logan Paul at this point, even with the belt, is Pat McAfee where he shows up here and there. He does a backflip, and they're like, wow. Right now, if you think about it, what does Logan Paul do if he's not wrestling? Buy Pokemon cards? What does he do?
He's on his podcast, Drinking Prime.
I guess so. But if he's right now, he got a sponsorship with WWE where Prime is sponsoring is like they're sponsoring WWE to get their logo in the middle of the ring, which is awful, but it's happening, right?
Yeah.
If he's not wrestling, that's not happening. He's not selling Prime. He's not making as much money as he is tomorrow because all these marks buy Prime.
I think it was fake. I don't think they're actually going to put the Prime logo on the ring. They don't have to. They have Endeavor money. They got TKO money. They don't need to be doing that UFC.
You're right,
shit.
but yet somehow UFC does it.
I feel
it's
like
the same company, dude.
But I feel like UFC doesn't bring in as much money as WWE because WWE is always like UFC has what? How often do they have shows? They don't have live shows.
Yes, they do.
Right. No,
they have their own arena in Las Vegas, man. You could see a UFC fight every Saturday in Las Vegas.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is though, like they don't have like every Monday, every Thursday. You know,
they can't do that. Everybody would be dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Maybe that's
because
why
it's real.
No, I understand that. It's still real to me. What I'm saying is though, I feel like they don't have enough shows to bring in as much money as WWE probably does.
That might be fair.
But
that's akin to like baseball making more money than football simply because there's more games.
Right. And yet the Yankees still have bullshit logos on their jerseys. But their guys can't grow.
You can never make too much money if you're a billionaire or trillionaire. There's no such thing. But point being is I think the Logan Paul might commit himself a little bit more to sports entertainment simply because if he's not doing this, how is he relevant?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but he'll need a push if he does it, even holding that belt, especially since that's the 4th belt. Like, is there any lower you can go by yourself? There's no, there a smaller, there's no European belt out there.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
right. Yeah.
So he needs to bring some validity to himself. Beating these two former heavyweight champions. Universal. When I say heavyweight, I mean division, not the heavyweight championship, just so everybody clarifies.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Kevin Owens was never the heavyweight bro. I mean the fucking division, meaning beyond intercontinental.
Former world champion.
Former world champion, exactly.
Yeah.
Beating these two guys validates him, especially if he beats them clean.
Yeah.
It's a push. If he beats them clean, it's a push. It's a big push. And I'm not saying a push into the world champion conversation, but more just more credibility. He's not just winning because he's cheating. He's not just winning because he's a name. Now he's an actual performer and not a Pat McAfee with a belt. Because that's what he is right now. He's Pat McAfee with a belt. Every so often he shows up and you're like, yeah, it's great. He does a backflip and you're like, yeah, Pat. And I love Pat. But Pat's got a job outside of wrestling. Logan Paul doesn't.
Right.
So I think Logan Paul wins.
I think the Viper is going to squeeze out another title at WrestleMania.
Mind you, I love the Viper. I love the Viper. I got a picture of him right there, up there. You can't see it. It's beyond here. It's like up there. I have an autographed picture of the Viper. And I did this when the show started.
You did.
I love the Viper, but I you know what? He's at the stage in his career where he pushes.
Yeah. But he could do that by being the champion and having someone younger beat him for it.
Maybe Orton wins and loses to Paul at a later date.
Yeah.
Something
like that.
Is because I haven't seen anybody enact their rematch clause in a long time.
I think they got rid of it kayfabe wise, but
they're bringing it back. Boxing's back. Should. Mike Tyson's back. They're bringing it back.
And speaking of backs, we're going to talk about Bayley because Bayley's got a booty. But she also has a title match at WrestleMania against her former running buddy, Io Sky. And long story short, Bayley, I want to say, has been the most underrated female competitor in the past maybe like 3 years for WWE.
It's because she's not pretty.
I'm going with Bayley to win the match and win the women's title against
lying? Am I lying? Of all the women that could possibly win a championship in WWE, she is the least pretty.
I don't mind Bayley, but yes, there are definitely other
here it is.
other females that are prettier than her.
It's wrestling, right?
Right,
if
but
you're,
I don't want Bayley. What if Bayley sees this? What if she's a fan of the show? She's watching it, and
I
hears
listen.
you
I
talking
think
smack.
she's a very, very good performer as far as wrestling's concerned. But the long and short of it is that wrestling is a spectacle. That's what it comes down to. If you're not spectacular, and unfortunately for her, in the world of wrestling, it's a male-dominated endeavor, just like the WNBA and the NBA. The NBA is always going to make more money than the WNBA. That's the nature of the beast. I'm sorry. Male March Madness is always going to beat Caitlin Clark. Nobody gives a if given the choice between watching 7-foot men compete and 5'11" women compete, I'm going to watch 7 foot because I never seen a 7-foot man. I'm 5'10". A 5'11" woman doesn't impress me. You know what I mean? Like
turns you on though. You love the Amazon.
I love Amazons, absolutely. It's and Glamazons too.
Yeah.
But point being is that Bayley doesn't get the push that she deserves simply because of all her peers. Facially, she's the least attractive. I'm sorry, I don't tell you. Like Charlotte Flair is a nepo baby, just like everybody named NOI.
Ronda Rousey
was already a name, like Brock Lesnar getting a heavyweight championship fight at UFC after he showed up for 5 matches and lost 2 of them. He's all of a sudden in the heavyweight champion fucking picture. For what reason? Because he was already popular. Yeah. I can bring a name to it. Ronda Rousey already had a following, so everybody that was a UFC fan is now watching WWE. They discredited WWE yesterday. That's like Mike Tyson being the fucking special guest ref at a WWF fucking heavyweight championship of the world fucking WrestleMania match. What business does he have there? None.
Right.
What business did Ken Shamrock have sitting ringside at a WWF event years ago? He had a following from someplace else. What business does Logan Paul have being the fucking U.S. champion right now?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
He has a following.
You're right.
And you're right. Ronda can go suck a dick because she's an awful wrestler and she ain't fighting no more. So, like, she had no business in that conversation. But the only woman in WWE, here it is. You could be a woman who's unattractive in WWE. You better be like fucking Awesome Kong. Like Nia Jax or Shayna Baszler. Nicole Bass. You could do that. You better destroy somebody when you get there.
Yeah.
Same thing with the men, though. Back in the day, if you didn't have the right physique,
you're absolutely right.
You have to add something to the equation. You can't be like Dom Mysterio has a great fucking story, but he's a nepo baby because if he wasn't related to his father, he'd be stuck in the Indies somewhere with his physique.
Right.
The fact that fucking Sami Zayn got to where he is looking how he does is incredible. Normally, somebody that looks like Sammy has to do some Mick Foley type shit to get to that level.
That's funny.
And I'm not saying like this is how I pick them. I'm saying this is how they're picked.
Right.
That's why for years we had people like the Bella Twins fucking wrestling. No wrestling experience whatsoever. They just picked cheerleaders that couldn't cheerlead anymore. And they were like, all right, you're going to wrestle now.
I'll teach them how to wrestle.
I think, long story short, though, I think Io Sky wins because she needs the push. If I remember right, she's English is her second language, right?
Yeah.
She's going to need a push. Anybody who can't speak the tongue of the people that live here are going to have a struggle. Regardless of how good they wrestle, they need a bigger push because they're going to need a mouthpiece until they learn how to speak English, and carrying the belt is going to be that mouthpiece. Okay. It's the same reason Shinsuke Nakamura was a fucking huge star in Japan and is fucking mired in nothingness in America. I mean, along with the fact that he looks like a pedophile. He looks like Japanese Michael Jackson touching little kids.
Oh boy. Okay. Seth Rollins, the world title match.
He does.
McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. This will be Seth Rollins' second match this weekend, and something I left out in the previous show that I want to see. You know, Seth, for big matches and big events, he would have a unique attire, mocking his opponent. You know, at the Royal Rumble a few years ago, he came out in Shield attire and Shield music and the Shield entrance when he versed Roman Reigns. At Hell in a Cell, he dressed up as Dusty Rhodes to fight Cody. So on night one, when he fights The Rock, I need Seth Rollins to have some sort of attire that's 1997 Rocky Maivia. I need that bullshit around his neck, the tassels everywhere. That's what I want for night one. I forgot to say that on our last show. But for night two, I would like to see him imitate Drew McIntyre with like some 3MB rock band type of thing. I think to do like a Braveheart thing is corny and it's not really like mocking him in a way. But with this match,
with the original, like the original fucking, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think Drew McIntyre needs to win this match. Seth Rollins cannot leave WrestleMania as champion. And I feel like if Seth does lose, we may see Seth peek his ugly face in the main event. Because this whole Seth and Cody thing, for me, I feel like...
unnatural.
What'd you say?
Unnatural.
Right. I get Seth's point, against the bloodline, but, he has too much happening. And if this match was supposed to be what it was originally planned to be, which was Punk versus Rollins, I feel like it's time for Seth to drop the belt.
I want you to know that I forgot that guy existed, and then you said his name, and I was like, I forgot he still wrestled.
Oh, Punk?
Yeah.
He actually was on MMA Hour with what's his name?
So I don't follow
Ariel Helwani. I'm probably saying his name.
I don't follow MMA Hour. Is that with regard to MMA, like actual mixed martial arts?
Yeah.
Because fucking CM Punk absolutely sucks dicks and balls at mixed martial arts. We all saw it.
No, I know, but this guy. No, but the guy who runs it, Ariel, he usually also interviews like wrestlers as well. Like Rhea Ripley was on there.
As long as he's not wrestling CM Punk as a MMA fighter.
Oh no, this was because
he lasted like 46 seconds or some shit. I remember Stephanie McMahon vividly making fun of him. I don't remember the distance.
It was like 2 minutes and like 15 seconds. Some shit.
Yeah,
like
something ridiculously sad.
Yeah. But that's what this match was supposed to be originally, Punk versus Rollins. And listen, you have Rollins, you have Rhea, you have Gunther, and you have Roman. All have very long title reigns. I don't think they all end at Mania, but I think this one does. And it's either going to be by Drew McIntyre or by Damian Priest. But Seth Rollins will not leave WrestleMania as World Heavyweight Champion.
I think Rollins loses to Drew McIntyre. I think Drew deserves it.
He does.
Drew, to me, is a big fucking name. He really is. They pushed him too hard when he was young, and he wasn't ready for it. He leaves.
What was his gimmick when he was? Do you remember his gimmick? What it was?
I remember he had a really small head. That's about it.
But I think it was like, I think he was like the chosen one.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Do you remember who called him that? Who gave him that nickname?
Who was that?
You want me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It was Vince. Damn it.
I pressed it. I don't know if I heard it still, but because you were really loud, but
sorry, I got excited. Yeah, I agree with you. Drew deserves it.
And I'm not saying Drew deserves it because like I like Drew McIntyre. I'm just saying is I feel like if you bury all of these guys, which they've done with Roman, which fucking blows because Roman's not that great of a talent. He's just related to the right people. His gimmick is fucking weak, and that's why he needs Paul Heyman. But point being is if you're going to bury everybody who goes against Roman, they have to compete for a belt that actually gets defended.
Right.
And there's no place else for somebody like Drew McIntyre to go. Again, you can't go back down to the fucking minors after you've been in the majors for so long. Robinson
Right.
Cano playing in Mexico is fucking pathetic.
You're not wrong.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, good
Yeah.
for you, dude. You're still playing pro ball. Yeah, you're playing pro ball against guys that couldn't shine your fucking shoes back in the day. Good job. Fuck, it's the same. I take it to the same way. It's going from it being in a world champion conversation to having to go back down to the minors and go back to the intercontinental belt, which you're not going to fucking win again because it's just going to flat out look weird.
Right.
You're at that point, you're a jobber. You're Solo Sikoa, jobbing. The only NOI who actually isn't getting a fucking push.
That's actually really
Poor
funny.
fucking guy. Poor fucking guy.
Who we might see in the main event. But real quick with this match, Drew deserves it for him carrying the company during the pandemic. And his heel character is on a whole other level. He is cooking. He is roasting Seth Rollins.
His heel character is so
social
strong.
media.
His heel character is so strong. People think he's leaving WWE every week.
Right. They're like, Drew hasn't signed, but he's on the poster for Clash at the Castle in the summer.
Dave Meltzer reports that this guy's leaving and going to AEW once a month.
Right. And all these fans, anyone hear about Drew's deal? Did he resign? What the fuck do you care? What do you care? What are you doing? His taxes? Like, you want to know, like, what, like, who cares if he signed it?
They're independent contractors. They don't have to sign shit. They can literally get paid by the day.
Right. But we're both going with McIntyre. And now for the main event. The WWE
Moment you've all waited for.
Universal Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And hold
Joseph
on a second.
NOI.
I can't disrespect Roman. On the banner, I forgot to list that he was the champion. So
Roman Reigns.
Let me go ahead and do
Joseph
that.
NOI. You meant Joe NOI? That guy?
There we go. Where are we? There we go. The main event, 2 years in the making. A rematch from last year.
Imagine that, 2 years in the making, and the guy's defended the belt like 3 times since that in the making.
I think if you just start to acknowledge Roman Reigns as your tribal
That'll
chief,
never happen.
things will be easier.
That guy is a Nepo baby, and it's not even funny. It's really sad, actually. Put your hand down.
So if you watched our night one show, I told you to tune into this one because there's so many different things that could happen. I am not sure if Cody wins. But if Cody does win, you can have 2 things happen. You can have Roman turning on The Rock the next night or at some point in time afterwards. Roman turns on The Rock because it was The Rock who made that stipulation tag match on night 1. So I feel like Roman will blame The Rock for his loss, or The Rock turns on Roman and The Rock's like, I acknowledge you as my tribal chief. I beat Cody Rhodes night 1 and you couldn't do it night 2. So I think something like that happens, or they really, really push on the gas pedal and Roman beats Cody again. And then Roman eventually passes Hogan's record. But it's like, it's so like up in the air because literally anything, it could go either way. I wouldn't be mad either way, but I do think that the company would have to figure something out because I know you're not a fan of Roman. I know you don't like that he's not always there, the limited title defenses, but it ended up working. You know, I know there may be like a small handful of people like, oh, the title was only defended 54 times during this whole stretch, but it's like it's a different era. And if he defended this title all those times and he beat all these guys, then he's really burying everybody. Then it's almost like, oh, who could beat him? Who could beat Roman? You know, and with Cody, you know, like if Cody does beat Roman, Cody's the champ and Cody's always going to be there. Then he's always going to have title defenses every month. And I feel that the fans will eventually turn on him because it will be like the John Cena effect. Like, oh, we want this guy as champion. We want him as champion. Then you get him as champion. And then, you know, he's the guy. He's there every week. He's main eventing and he's winning. You know, he's getting beat down, but he's Super Cena. He comes back and he wins. How many people did Cena bury? You know, Mr. Kennedy. He didn't bury Orton at times, but I felt like Orton should have won at times. You know, Jericho, Angle, all these guys that Cena just were fed to Cena. And, you know, I feel like with Cody, even with any sort of good guy face, they want the chase. The chase is always the best part. Like, when will he get the title? When is he going to be champion? And then when he gets it, it's like, okay, is this how they're doing it now? It's like, okay, I'm tired of this. Enough. I don't want him as champion anymore. I don't know. I don't know what I want at this point.
So I had an analogy last episode that I could not remember. And I just got it. I just remembered.
There we go.
For those of us who are a little older, for those of us that were alive in the 90s, have backaches and bad knees here in 2024, there's a little show called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And in one of the episodes, the main character, Will, played by Will Smith, who you young folk know from Independence, not even Independence, Jesus Christ, maybe Hitch, King Richard, maybe I Am
Chris
Legend.
Rock at the Oscars.
Slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. Yeah, perfect example. You know Will Smith as a guy who slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. But when I was a kid, he was a rapper who did a TV show called The Fresh Prince. But there's an episode where Will Smith, who plays a character named Will, is at a casino with his cousin, played by Alfonso Ribeiro, who played Carlton. And they lose all their money at the casino, and they go to the casino owner, who's played by Wayne Newton, famously saying Dankeschön, which means thank you very much in German, the language that the Nazi Gunther speaks. Long story short, in that episode, they try to convince the casino owner that it's more fun to lose money than it is to win money, and that he should pay them because they lost all their money teaching people that it's more fun to lose than it is to win. And that is exactly what WWE has done when they've taught you all, and you've all bought it, that it is more fun to not watch the top wrestler in the fucking business actually wrestle. That's what they've taught you, that it's more fun. People will come to your events to watch your best wrestler not wrestle. People will come to your casino to lose.
I'm not really into the UFC. Does their top champion fight every month?
Their top champion can't fight every month, because if he did, he'd have CTE within like 4 fights. The law, legally, the law says he can't fight because he would never clear the gaming association, because there's actually like a place that governs UFC because it's fucking real. Wrestling is scripted. Nobody's getting punched in the face in wrestling. Anytime they bleed, 99 times out of 100, it was on purpose. In UFC, that guy wasn't planning on bleeding that day. He was planning on making the other guy bleed to try make it seem like fucking Roman Reigns, who has 3 fucking moves, none of them good, is a UFC fighter, is disingenuous, especially when you have real UFC fighters that fucking work there.
Wait a minute. WWE scripted?
Roman, again, they convinced you all this guy not working is somehow a good thing. It's not. Not when you have championships that are on 2 separate shows that don't intersect. If the championships that are supposed to be the highest championships, because by the way, everybody fucking knows that whatever belt Roman's got, because they change the name of it every fucking month, is higher than the road that Seth's carrying. I don't like it, but that's the fact of the matter. It really is. All right?
So what happens when Cody has that belt? Are both belts the same, like on the same playing field?
If he's not going to defend it every fucking day, right? If he's not going to defend it, if he's the SmackDown champion and he's not going to defend it, then he shouldn't be the SmackDown champion. Defend that belt on both fucking shows.
Oh, I agree. That it should be both. There should be one.
Why is it that the Raw champion's working every fucking week and the SmackDown champion shows up every quarter? And he doesn't even wrestle at that point. He just shows up, has a 7-minute fucking intro, puts his finger in the air, and that's the end of his fucking day.
Yeah.
If he was, I'll be honest with you, if he was so fucking great, Paul Heyman wouldn't need to be with him.
I think Paul Heyman makes it.
Because he's not good. The same thing with Brock. The same thing with Brock when Brock couldn't get over by himself. When you can't be your own mouthpiece, then you need somebody to accept. Same thing with Yoko, because Yoko couldn't fucking do it, so he had Mr. Fuji. A real fucking stud doesn't need a mouthpiece to stand next to him, okay? Hogan didn't need anybody next to him to fucking be Hogan. Shawn didn't need anybody to be Shawn. Fucking Austin didn't need anybody to be Austin. Triple H didn't need anybody to be Triple H. When Triple H decided he could stand on his own 2 feet, he left DX in the dust. The Rock could stand up on his own 2 feet. He didn't need fucking Nation of Domination.
He went from the nation to the corporation. Not right away, but I mean, it happened within.
And then after he left the corporation, what has he done? Now he's holding up his cousin.
Yeah.
They're not. I want everybody to know right now, and people are gonna sit there and go, "Oh, you don't understand. There's a blood thing, and it's because their grandfathers hadn't." I just want you to know. I don't know if people know this, but The Rock's grandfather, Peter Anawai, actually adopted his mother, so they're not related either.
So who are you picking, Cody or Roman?
I'm gonna pick Cody. This is what's gonna happen, right? Cody beats Rock on Saturday. No bloodline jabronis around the ring. And when I say jabronis, I mean it the way the Sheik said it, the originator of the phrase, not the way The Rock says it, a copier of what the Sheik used to say. No jabronis around the ring. Rock comes down while the ref is down. So the ref goes down because that's just the nature of wrestling. And Rock comes down. Everybody thinks he's going to go after Cody. He doesn't. He goes after Roman because he's pissed off that Cody beat him on night 1. Cody wins. And Rock either starts a what do they call it? I forgot.
A feud?
No, yes, they call it a feud, but they don't call it
a
he
rival?
starts a no, not a rival. No, it's an industry term. Program. Rock starts a program with Cody to get him all the way over. Because I'm sorry, but Roman doesn't move the needle for me. He really doesn't.
But he has a T-shirt that says he's the needle mover.
I don't give a fuck. Roman doesn't he doesn't show up to move the needle. Like, I wouldn't give a fuck if he showed up in my house right now. I'd tell him he sucks to his face. Or Rock starts a program with Roman. Because Rock's going to sit there and go, you may be the fucking tribal chief, but I'm the fucking high chief.
Maivia. I think with it being WrestleMania 40, that it's somehow, some way, we're gonna hear this. So I don't know if you heard it. I don't want to play it too much because I don't want YouTube to take this down. But it's WrestleMania 40. Cheers. We're getting Austin. We're getting Cena. Because you want to know why? It's all over Twitter. And then I even said this on a previous show. This photo right here of when The Rock was whipping Cody's ass. Bro, every other truck is a WrestleMania truck. You have Austin and Cena on the same truck in the background. Triple H doesn't do things by accident. You know, like when we see the backstage interviews.
Maybe he's just fucking with you because he thinks you don't do things. He does things by. It was intentional to make you think he's going to be there, so that people like me that are fucking Attitude Era people tune in this Sunday to watch WrestleMania because it ain't going to be as good as it was back then. Maybe when it goes to Netflix, it gets a little bit more rated MA. God willing, because I'll watch it if it's MA.
Yeah, right. Show them titties. No, so
some more
you're
stink
going
faces
with
will
Cody.
suffice.
I think I'm going. What'd you say?
I said some more stink faces will suffice.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go with Cody too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Roman wins. I think with it being WrestleMania 40, at some point in time we have to see Stone Cold and John Cena.
Stone Cold comes out 40 theory again.
I hope not. Yeah, Stone Cold and John Cena are gonna replace Austin Theory and Grayson Waller in a tag ladder match.
I want to see. Honestly, if either one of them shows up, I don't want to see them running down the ramp. I don't want to hear their music hit.
You know,
I don't, because it's too obvious. Like, if you're gonna come into the ring, if you're gonna come in to interfere or do whatever you're gonna do, to imagine so as long as it makes sense, right? Let's say they're gonna come down to the ring to interfere on behalf of Cody. If you hit their fucking music, I don't care how fucking injured the referee is, he knows Stone Cold Steve Austin just came down to the fucking ring. I could be in a coma. If you hit fucking that glass shattering, I'm waking up.
No, no. You don't understand.
Unless they're going to come down as bloodline people.
Once you put that zebra shirt on, once you get knocked out, that's it. You're done.
Dead to the world.
Yeah, that's it. You can't see the Titantron. You don't feel the chair shots. You don't hear the chair shots. None of that. Once you're a ref, you lose all of your five senses.
You've got one sense. It's vision. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
You've got two. You've got feeling and you've got vision, because you got to feel your hand hit the bottom of the mat.
1, 2, 3.
I'll tell you right now, I've learned in my old age that if you see the guy fucking looking at the ref's hand,
yeah, right, yeah, I noticed that too.
Every time.
Well, it's WrestleMania week, and it's right here, WrestleMania. So we appreciate you guys joining us for our prediction show. Drop some comments on who you think is going to win, and if you think our picks are absolutely ludicrous. And make sure you tune in for our future shows. And more importantly, just enjoy WrestleMania. Have fun and kick back and enjoy both nights. Friday night SmackDown in the Hall of Fame. WrestleMania Saturday, NXT Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday. It is a phenomenal week to be a wrestling fan. Make sure you enjoy it. I'm Matt. This is Nick. Thanks for joining us. Peace out.
Arsh.